Okay, so we're back in the room. I'll check my battery actually. Let's have a little look. Fine, 3 bars. Good stuff. Okay. Okay, so we're back in the room. Yesterday, very dark in here because my wood's in the way. Anyway, so yesterday got partway through making this before my GoPro died. So my bait hive, overnight I painted it, 3 colours: dark green, light green, and red. Cuprinol, it's terracotta, maple green, and Old English green. Those are 3. Maple green has now been replaced by something else though. Terracotta, I think, is still available. So we got this far, painted everything, reassembled it as well. So the base is now back in there. So it's a recessed base, and the water should just run down and run off. If I used one that was attached like that, what you end up doing is you end up leaving a gap that water can ingress in. So this is for the roof. So I have a recessed one there, and there's what it looks like inside there. So a nice cavity for laying size frames. Has a absolutely lovely hole there for them to get in and out of, which they'll probably use. But what I was going to do before my video kind of died on me was I was going to put in an entrance. So what I would do is I would use a slit entrance, and the only reason for that is it's just purely to avoid attracting birds. Tend to be the main thing that will try and nest in here. Actually, I think that was probably right the way it was. Yeah, so I use a slit entrance. It stops blue tits getting in. What you'll often find is you'll go down and all the paint has been chipped off all around the outside. That's the birds just checking, see if the wood is rotten enough for them to expand the entrance. Luckily with these it tends not to be. Pallet wood tends to be quite good. What I'm going to do, because they have got another hole and they'll more than likely use the top as an entrance as well, I'm going to reduce this ever so slightly. And the other end is... There's the one disadvantage with painting over it, I can't see it now. There we go. I did think I might have finished with this, but I haven't, so I'm just going to quickly use the jigsaw. Just run along the top and then the bottom. Still. So you get that out of it. It's actually left quite a narrow opening. So what I'm going to have to do with that, the narrow opening's fine because, like I say, they'll use the other places to get in and out of, so it shouldn't be a problem. What I'm going to have to do is just file it down. Not a file, of course, so I mean sand it down, of course. said than done in places though. Okay, you don't want to go to town on it too much, you don't want it too smooth. Okay, there we go. So that's it done. That's the entrance there. So like I say, we've just got a slit. If your finger can get in it, then the bees will be absolutely fine. That's the only entrance that I give them. If they happen to be lucky enough to have other entrances like this, then that's great for them. They also may potentially, I think it's I'm not sure at which end it is actually, but I suspect they've got an entrance under the roof as well, more than likely. Oh no, not at that end they don't. What they do here, yeah, they're gonna have no problem. They'll have no problem getting through there. And that's going to be near the front as well. We'll see. They may well not use that. If it had been on this section here at the front, they would have definitely used that to get in and out of. But given that it's not on the front, they may well not do. So that's the actual box itself finished now. The only thing that needs to be done that I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some rebate on one side, a retaining bit of wood on the other, and that'll allow me to put frames in there. But other than that, that's done. In terms of our tools, the only tools we need now is the screwdriver, and that's it. And this is the roof. The roof uses exactly the same pieces as everything else. They're slightly shorter, so that means that these go on the end of there. Okay, right. I cut these out earlier today and I can't remember for the life of me how I set this up. I'm fairly sure this should just sit on top, and that should be fine. That's the way we went. One of those lessons in woodwork, which is measure twice, and cut once. Or in my case, check something twice before you go and do it, because you might have it wrong. Okay, that's fine. I may well come undone almost instantly because I've completely forgotten where I put my drill. There we go. Okay. And for the roof, I'm going to use slightly longer screws. Perfect. So it's going to be the same as before. The only thing that's going to change is I'm not going to glue. I mean caulk. I'm not going to caulk this like I did my other one. I might caulk the top bits, but as I didn't as I didn't seal my coal cup last night, there's a good chance that that's blocked, so it might not be an option for me actually. Never mind. There we go. It's all in there. That's pretty strong as well, so I'm pleased with that. Same process again. I might go around and put some extra screws in this, but when you've got your cross pieces, they should strengthen it substantially. So we'll just start the screw in there. Likewise, that's pretty good as well. And what I've probably done is I've probably screwed it together wrong. It should be my usual. Should be my usual MO. It would. That is correctly done. There we go. I know myself, and if there was one mistake that I usually make, it's usually checking it twice and then still putting it together wrong. Luckily the checking it twice worked for me today, so that's a good start. Check that cork in a minute as well. Okay, there we go. Just a touch. Can't lie, I'm not overly keen on cheap screws. They're not the best. They do the job sometimes. If this wasn't going out in the ether, I'd use Risa cutters, but Risa cutters would be a bit overkill for this, really. So there we go. So that's that done. Fits over there quite nicely. It has a bit of a lip as well, so that should give some good hold on it. Let's just check. Sometimes this only blocks itself off, and then the rest of it's fine. Oh, that is amazing. Okay, it was left there all night, but we're away again, so that's good to know. So all I'm going to do now is just work my way across this. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Should be good to go. Now with this, I'm not going to caulk around these edges. I'm only going to caulk in between the pieces of wood. That's the only place I'm going to put any caulk on. And the reason for that is that the caulk does contain biocides, so I don't want anything like that to be in direct contact with the bees, really. I'm just trying as much as possible to avoid having that directly contact the frames. Which shouldn't be a problem with this one. There we go. It shouldn't be a problem with this one because with this one I'm going to actually be putting frames in, but with a lot of my bait hives the bees actually build their comb directly onto the roof. I tend not to try and harvest those bait hives. It's I have collected them though in the past. I mean, if I'm honest, this is going together so tightly. I just don't know if the caulk is actually necessary. I'm not sure. I'm going to use it, but a part of me just doesn't feel that it's necessary. What you want to do is make sure it's right on the outside edge of the wood. That just has not gone on correctly at all. No, it hasn't. Okay, it's not perfect, but it'll do. We'll get it on there. Right, okay, that looks pretty good to me actually. It's right on the outside edge, so there shouldn't be any of that going in. And you let it dry off as well, so it shouldn't be a problem for the bees really. If you're ever doing this and you're not sure about caulking the roof, I don't blame you. I was 50-50 about that, to be honest. I don't necessarily think it was necessary, but there's none has come through on the other side, and that's probably the most important bit. Okay, this is the last one. We'll pre-drill this one before we get it in situ. same again, right along the outer edge, of course. It just goes on. So that's the roof finished. We'll have a look at how it compares to the box itself in one moment. My roofs do tend to be quite big compared to my boxes, and they're telescopic, as you can see, so they've got telescopic sides as well. None of that kind of half-ass couple of centimetres telescopic sides either. It's just a waste of time. If you're gonna make it telescopic, you should make it telescopic. Should know me by now. If I'm going to make something, I'm going to over-engineer it, so I'll just get these extra screws in. As soon as I start drilling it in at an angle, they're a pain. None of those wanted to go in going straight, which probably is down to my drilling more than anything. These should be fine with just two in. Yeah, they should. Check the sides for anywhere where you've ballsed up. It's me, so they'll always be somewhere. Let's try reseating those again. That's a lot better. Fine. So that's all in. No cut coming through the other side, which was actually my greatest concern really, above almost everything else. So that's all done there now. The last thing is to waterproof it. I don't paint these. I leave them completely unpainted, and normally I would leave them uncooked as well. Because I'm doing frames, I just wanted to change that. I just wanted to have a really, really, really good seal between each piece of wood, which is what we have achieved here. I don't think it makes a massive amount of difference. Fingers crossed it doesn't make a massive amount of difference in a bad way either, because, like I say, not something I've ever done before. So the next bit just requires some other things. You should of course always use these. Okay, so just need a staple gun. and my waterproof material. This is going to be really interesting inside here. Right, let's see what we can do now. There's things that you just shouldn't do inside a shed. One of them, as I found out the other day, is making a roof. Not making it, yes it was actually, it was making it, but making a different type of roof. And I'm probably going to find out that one of the other things that you shouldn't try and do is do this. Goes over. There we go, just cut it down there. Superb. I probably went a little bit over there. If I was doing it outside, I could probably work it out a bit better. Okay. So this next bit, I've got a little bit further over this way. Right, fine. So all you want to do is you want to get your staple gun. Start stapling this together. As tight as you can get it without damaging it, so you don't want to damage it anyway. And the next bit's really important, so it's very much like a present. What you're going to do is you're going to fold these in on themselves, like so. And then you're going to fold them over. Now what you want to see is you want to see an angle like that. So you want to see an angle that moves towards the middle, so a V like that. You don't want anything else, because anything else, if it's a different angle like that, what happens is as the rain runs down, it will run into it. So you want to avoid that. As much as possible. So same again, pull them as tight as you can, and create that V. And then pull it over. Now what we're going to do now is we're just going to go round and just fix the roof into position. There we go. So that's the roof. That's the roof done. So it's impermeable membrane all the way round. That's what it looks like on the inside. If you get any that comes over, spills over onto the actual roof, you just need to slice that away with your Stanley knife. I don't know what the bees would do with it. If you don't give them frames though, they probably really struggle if that's all they have to attach to. And that's what it looks like from the top. And these are what I was talking about here. At the corners, what you want is you want these V's. So water runs down and runs out. Some can get under there, I'll be honest, and then it just runs underneath and it just soaks the wood. It's not great, but that angle there will limit how much it happens. If you end up with another angle, which you can do, then it'll just run in, and then you're just going to have a wet roof, which the bees don't seem to really mind if you can eliminate it as much as possible. When I say a wet roof, they obviously mind a roof that's 24/7 constantly running water. But I've definitely got roofs that probably not as watertight as they once were. Usually due to vandalism. The trouble with this is that if people come along and turn your hive on its roof, which I've had, try and pull them down, anywhere where this abrades against a branch, stonework, anything like it does tend to put a hole in. It can be patched really easily, luckily. You want to avoid that if you can at all. So that's all done there. So we've got our entrance, our second entrance on the side, and now we've got the roof. That wasn't right, was it? And what I would do at the back, I'd put some hinges, and at the front you can just use a connector. But anything that people can open relatively easily is always a bad idea. So usually what I do is put a screw right at the top of the roof here, and then just 2 screws in here, and then use wire to connect it, barbed wire if they're really going to mess with it. But that's all done. So that's the bait hive in a nutshell. I don't know how long it took, maybe 2 hours, something like that. You can crack one of these out on a weekend, and that's it, ready to go. The only other thing really to do is baiting them, and I'm gonna go to town on lemongrass oil. When I first started, my first bait hives I made way too big. 80 litres I think were my first couple that I made. Got bees in them without too much trouble. The first one I lemongrass oiled it, which I've got over here actually. So I bought lemongrass oil off the internet, bought about 15 of these I think it was, spent quite a lot of money on it. And thought, you know, this will last me forever. This one's actually never been opened. There's about another 10 still left, and that's from years of use. It's just not effective, unfortunately. It just isn't as good as any of the alternatives. Is it better than nothing? Yes. Is it? It's just, the problem with it is it dissipates very, very quickly. Whenever I've used it, I usually put it up, and I've usually had a swarm within a month. Once it gets past a month, it just seems to become completely ineffective. So for a whole season's use, no matter what you do with it, it doesn't seem to work. You need to put it on a cotton bud. So I used to put it on two ends of a cotton bud, wrap it up in something fairly similar to this actually. So you put your cotton bud at the bottom there, and then you wrap your cotton bud right up. And the kind of level that you're kind of looking at, it's hard to describe. But basically, if you had it in here, the roof on and everything else, what it would be a case if you actually sniffed the entrance like that, you'd get a very, very, very faint smell of lemongrass, and that's it. Anything else more than that, and it just completely becomes ineffective. Like I say, it dissipates. My recommendation, if you don't have bees, my recommendation would be to buy a commercial law. You can get it from Thorn, and you can get it from beekeeping-supplies.co.uk, which is Manlake's UK site, which is where I bought some from this year. I think £2.50 a go, and I think you can get 2 seasons out of them possibly. If you can, then that's a bargain. And at £2.50 for what is possibly a guaranteed swarm is well worth it. Lemongrass oil delayed me getting bees. Trying to get lemongrass oil and various other things delayed me getting bees by like a couple of years. It wasn't until I learned that you need to use less. It wasn't until I learned you need to put it in bags. It wasn't until I learned a whole raft of things around it. Had I used commercial laws, then I probably would have got off the ground a lot earlier. And once you've got bees, you find once you've got them, everything else just opens up for you. It all becomes a lot easier. So yeah, commercial laws is what I've purchased this year, purely because I'm sending some off to some people that I stayed with, who are starting in beekeeping as well. So kind of sharing the love with them. What I used last year, and I'll just go and grab it. This is much more effective, and once you've got bees, this is almost 100% the way to go. Is this. So what this is, because I've shaken it up now. There we go. We'll just release the pressure in there. Okay. So what this is it's basically slum gum liquor, and all that is I was able to, one of my hives absconded right in the middle of summer. Really, it was about May time. The whole hive just absconded. I think it was honey bound more than anything. It was one of my giant, great big bait hives. There was no way of getting it down, no way of being able to manage it in any way whatsoever. So they were self-managing. Absconded, I suspect because of that really. Opened it up. There were no bees in there, and it did. Oh no, I don't think it was. No, because that one swarmed and then it declined. Yeah, I think it was a failed requeening actually, that one. It became a drone layer over time, as you would expect, to get the genes out there. But yes, this is basically slum gum liquor. So all it is when you're doing a wax extraction from slum gum, what you'll end up with is an increasingly brown kind of liquid in the filtrate. And all I did was I just kept doing a wax extraction, then re-wax extracting out of the same slum gum. I use the same liquid as well each time, which made my wax a bit dirtier than I would have liked. But what I did end up with was this, and this is just perfect. It has all the smells and everything that you need. All you do is you paint the inside of it about 4 or 5 times so that the whole hive really smells of it. and then stick it up somewhere, and the bees have no problem finding this whatsoever. It just smells like an old hive in essence, and that works really, really well. But if you're starting out and you don't have access to this or bees or anything else, then really a commercial law at £2.50 or whatever the equivalent would be anywhere else is well worth the investment. Because once you're started, you'll be able to get onto things like this, and then you'll be able to save your money again. And the £2.50 should be covered by the amount of money that you can save by making everything yourself as well. So there we go. So that's all done there for you. If you do have a go at doing it, then just let me know. Video yourself doing it and show me what you've made, because it's really fascinating bait hiving, and yeah, I'd just be really interested to know what other people have tried. If you have any alternatives to things like this, I think this is one of the most effective things I've come across. I know that people do put in frames of brood frames in here, so that the really dark black ones. I can understand that logic. I just always put off by the idea of having or attracting wax moths at a really inopportune time of year for bees that are just starting out. Whereas this, it literally just goes into the walls, and the inside of your hive goes a kind of dark brown, fairly similar to the colour of this actually, and then that's all there is, and you'll see bees visiting it, and it's kind of satisfying to see that it's worked really. But there we go. Anyway, so that's my bait hive. I'll probably do another video putting it up, and if it does get occupied, I'll probably do a video of that as well. With this being a layers one, it is one that I'll be collecting, so they won't be living in this for any length of time particular. Whereas the inside of my hole actually is quite fragmented, so I'm just going to sand that down as well. Anyway, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and like I say, if you want to let me know what you've done, any successes, any other stories, anything like that, just pop them there as well. Okay, thank you, bye bye.